Hi everybody, this is Jen from Cookies, Cupcakes, and Cardio.com. We here in Canada celebrate Canada Day on July 1st. So in honor of Canada Day, I have made a Canadian flag cake with the flag hidden inside the cake. Now we also have a hidden American flag cake up as well, and we'll put the link to that in the description box below. But let's get started on celebrating Canada. To make the Canada Day flag cake, we're going to need a 10-inch red cake. Now what I did was I just colored my vanilla cake batter red, and it was equal to 6 cups of cake batter. Pop it into the oven and cook it for about 60 to 80 minutes until it's nice and finished. You're also going to need prepared vanilla cake batter, and this one you're going to need about 4 to 5 cups of that. I'm going to be using maple leaf sprinkles, and I'm also going to be using the couple of different sizes of maple leaf cookie cutters. We're going to use white buttercream and some red buttercream. So I've leveled off my red cake here, and what I've got across is just a ruler, and I'm finding the center here. And be aware that the cake does bake down about 1/4 of an inch inside the pans as they bake. So I've adjusted my corners here, and I've come in 1/8 of an inch on each side. So 5 is still the center here. Now this toothpick is very important. Throughout the entire process of making the cake, you're not going to remove this. It's going to show you right where the center of the cake is, and we're going to keep it there the whole time. So the next couple measurements, we're going to go 1 inch on either side of the center cake, or the center toothpick. And then we're also going to go 1 inch from both of the edges. So I'm coming in 1 inch there, and 1 inch there. And then I'm going to rotate like this, and I'm going to do it again using more and more toothpicks all the way around until I have a guideline that's going to help me cut. So I'm going to do that, and I'll be right back. So now that my guides are in place, what I'm going to do is take a sharp knife, and I'm just going to follow my guide. Now make sure that you're keeping your knife straight up and down, so you're not cutting at an angle, but you want to make sure you're cutting in a nice round motion. So you want to use a serrated knife to do this part. And so I'm just going to go around like this and cut out the center, and then I'll do the exact same thing around the outside, around this outer ring there. So I have my 2 rings cut out here. Now don't forget, remember to leave the center one in its place. And what I'm going to do is just gently lift up the outside ring. I'm going to put it back into the 10-inch baking pan that I originally baked it in, just like that, because this part's going to bake again. So now I'm going to take out the center part. To take out the center piece, I'm just going to lift up this middle section and then just push with my fingers underneath, and then pull it out like that and put it into the center, and then using your ruler, line it back up so it's right in the middle there. And that's going to stay in that spot. Now this piece you want to put into the freezer so it can freeze solid. So that might take probably about 30 minutes to an hour. So what we do now is we're going to take some of our prepared vanilla cake batter. I'm going to put just a couple of scoops in the bottom. And so what you want here is you just want a really thin layer of cake, because that will be the bottom of the flag. And the maple leaves that we're going to cut out of the frozen centerpiece, they're going to fit into the middle on top of this extra cake batter. So now I have my cake center that has been frozen solid, and what I'm going to do is just cut a wedge out, and then I'm going to use the cut piece here to cut out the maple leaf. Now the reason you want the cake to be frozen is because when you use the cutter, the cake stays together a little bit better. If you were to use a really large cutter, then I don't think you'd have the same kind of problem, and you could probably just use the regular cake without freezing it. But as you can see, what I just did is put it into the center. So I'm just going to keep cutting wedges out with the thicker end on the outside so that the maple leaves stay even throughout the entire thing. So every cake slice that you cut when your cake is finished, everybody will have an entire flag. So I'm just going to keep finishing these off, and then I will show you what's the next step. Now that I have my maple leaves positioned all the way around the center here, I'm going to fill up the rest of this gap here with more of the vanilla cake batter. So you might be wondering, how are we going to bake this part now? Because the outside's already baked. Well, we're going to twice bake this cake. And the red part stays just fine. The moisture from the part from this raw dough right now keeps it nice and moist, so you don't need to worry about having a dry cake, the red part that's already been baked. So you want to make sure that you have enough that it's going to get in between all those gaps. And now you just want to take an offset spatula, smooth it down into the gaps, and make sure that your cake is completely filled in here in the center. So you're going to bake it at 350 degrees for between 60 and 80 minutes. It will take a while in the center, so you just want to watch it. And this part will pop up, and then you can just cut it off with your knife and it will be just a regular part of the cake. So I'm going to pop it in the oven and I'll be back in a while. So my cake has finished baking in the center, and I have leveled off the white part of the cake. And now I'm going to be putting on some white buttercream. So you'll also notice that my toothpick is still there in the center. You want to just try to work around it. If you're really good at eyeballing the center of a cake, then you probably can remove it now at this point. But it does help as a guide as to where to put your knife when you're cutting each of the slices. So I'm just going to cover the top, and I'll be back to show you the decorating part with the icings in the bags. So I have my red icing fitted with a Wilton number 21, and I'm just going to start at the bottom and zigzag all the way up the side of the cake. They're about an inch wide here. And I'm going to come right over top and into the cake about a couple of inches, just like that. Now switching to white, the same technique, squeezing back and forth, zigzagging up the side of the cake. So I'm just going to repeat this pattern all the way around the cake. So now that I have my border around the outside finished, what I'm going to do is take the larger of my two cookie cutters, and I'm just pressing it into the center here to make an indentation. If you're really good at drawing maple leaves, you probably don't need to, you can skip that part. But I'm also at this point going to remove my center piece, my center toothpick, and I'm going to take my red buttercream and I'm just going to trace where that marker is, and then I'm going to fill it in. So now to finish off the cake, I'm just going to take some of these little maple leaf sprinkles, and I'm just going to place them slightly in front of each of the white stripes. So I'm going to finish off the cake this way, and I'm going to slice into a second cake that I have in. So I'll be back to close the video and show you the finished product. So there you go, everybody, how to make a Canadian flag cake with a hidden flag inside the cake. I love the surprise element to this cake. I hope you guys enjoyed learning how to do it as well. Happy Canada Day to all of my fellow Canadians out there. And remember, you can find all of our social media sites linked in the description box below. So make sure you come say hello over on all those different sites as well. Thanks for watching, and see you again next time.